Hello, welcome to my classroom. Thank you for taking the time to go over our class expectations and course overview for English 7 Honors and English 8. I am your student's teacher, Lisa Corman. The best way to get in touch with me is via email, lisa.corman@sduhsd.net. These are pictures of my family, and also the reason why I ask that you be patient and give me 24 to 48 hours to get back to you. We have a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old at home, and they are a wonderful handful. So again, please drop me a line anytime you have a question, and I will be getting back to you. I want to take a second and talk about student goals right off the bat, because middle school is really, really important for student success. But the number one goal I have for every student when they come into my classroom, yes, academics is important. That's number 2 goal, but the number 1 goal is learning how to be a student. I can't emphasize how important that is. A student being able to be self-reliant, be able to problem solve on their own, have social awareness in how their words and actions impact others around them. This is going to benefit them so much, not only in classroom settings, but in the real world and life in general. So that is always my goal. I'm always pushing students, how can I solve this on my own with knowing that there is support behind me? And then, of course, is the academic goal, forming a strong literary foundation so that they will be able to successfully analyze literature throughout their academic career, a foundation that they're going to be able to build upon in high school. So grading is something that is always a question that comes up. So right off the bat, I will say that I do have weighted grades in my class. And something I always tell students are that the grades are earned and not given. So I don't have pluses or minuses in my class. I only do whole grades. There's no A plus or A minus. It's just an A or a B or a C. And I don't do any sort of rounding. English already is a subject that is somewhat subjective, and not rounding is a way that I can help keep it as objective as possible. And then I don't give extra credit. I just tell students extra credit is extra work. Why would you want extra work? You can just do the regular work. So as far as categories go, they're a little bit different for 7th grade and 8th grade. I have those posted here for you. You can also refer to the syllabus that your student showed you that you signed off on, that is located on my class website that you can get to through the Carmel Valley Middle School webpage. The main categories, however, is reading. That's going to be any sort of applied skills, tests, quizzes, assignments. Writing, that's going to be team writing, on-demand writing, individual writing, process pieces. Those are going to have the heaviest weight, those 2 categories. Next is going to be collaboration and projects. So this could be a team presentation, team projects, individual presentations, individual projects. Language is our monthly grammar and roots activities and assessments. And then classwork is going to be things like the parent-student syllabus page that you all signed during the first week of school with your student, journal homework, any sort of like literal comprehension quizzes, study guides, that sort of thing. So you will see the grade book broken up into these categories with the specific weights for each one. However, when it comes to my class, I really hope that all of you as parents will help reinforce my message that I give to students, is that it is not all about the grades, especially in middle school. It is about the personal and academic journey. Sometimes it's more important for students to face failures in middle school so they are able to be more resilient when the failures are greater later on. it's not a grade that's going to be following them or impact their GPA. So I always tell kids, well, if you didn't do well this first time around, that's great. What a wonderful opportunity, and motivator to learn from it and improve as we move forward. So yes, we want to make sure that we're on top of things, but sometimes a student's not going to get the grade that they want, and that can be disappointing. And just know that I'll always go to them saying, I'm so excited that you learned this about yourself, and now you have more tools, and now you know how to study, and now you know what you don't know. So I really try and focus them on that personal and academic journey, and not just about what the grade is at the end of the day. So anything that you can do as parents to help me reinforce that message, that would be amazing. As far as a skills overview, I can have the same page for both my 7th and my 8th grade classes, because again, we're focusing on a foundation to be built upon in high school. So all of the concepts that are being introduced in 7th grade are things that we are just adding to and reinforcing in 8th grade. So of course, those literary techniques, for parents of 8th graders, you're going to be very familiar, and 7th grade parents, you'll get familiar with this concept of the big five. That's point of view, elements of plot, all the different literary devices, characterization, theme. That's kind of all of the techniques that literary analysis is built on. We are going to be focusing on explanatory and argumentative writing. We're going to have process pieces for that. We're going to have timed pieces. And there's a lot of benefit that comes from group writing pieces as well. So we'll be doing some of those. We will be focusing on, of course, grammar, parts of speech, and we will have a set of Greek and Latin roots that we'll be focusing on every month. And I try as hard as I can to make those Greek and Latin roots correspond with what we're working on in class thematically, but you can only do so much. I love having Socratic seminars. These are sometimes referred to as fish bowls, you'll see in teacher grade books. They are evidence-based graded discussions. And that thankfully is one of the things that doesn't have to go when it comes to distant learning, because we are all still able to talk to and communicate to each other. Team projects is something that I also find really important, that we are working on how to make best as possible in this distant learning environment. And then there will be some individual team and individual speeches and presentations. So those are kind of just an overview of those skills. Parents ask me a lot, well, what can I do to help, or what supports are there for students? Have them come to me. Check-in on single period Wednesdays would be a great time to have a one-on-one check-in with me. I also welcome check-ins with me privately by appointment. Monday and Thursday afternoons, I have that time set aside between 1:40 and 3:05 that students can email me ahead of time. We'll set up a meet. If you have any questions or would like to meet with me during that time, absolutely. I really encourage students to create study groups with each other. And that's almost easier to do in this virtual learning. So especially if your student has me as a teacher with their friends in another class, set up a study group where they all get together once a week and do their homework together. That's a really great tool. Especially for my honors classes, I've had students have a lot of success with that in the past. And then also, please encourage students, and I do this, to use their planner and not just rely on Google Classroom reminders or Google Classroom dates, especially in my class, because not all of the things that we do that are due are going to be turned in via Google Classroom. So it's really important that they're using Google Classroom. In that vein as well, I do encourage you as parent and guardian, review your homework with your students. Accountability is not hand-holding. Accountability is good. Sitting down and doing their homework with them, not so great. But definitely saying, oh, hey, can you show me what your due dates are? Oh, it looks like you had a journal entry. I'd love to see what you had to say about that. And talking through it with them is wonderful. Probing questions about what students are studying. If student says, oh, I have a test on Greek and Latin roots, don't just say, have you studied? Say, oh, what are some of those roots? Let's use them in sentences together. It can be very helpful, again, on that accountability. Make sure to familiarize yourself with all of the different grading policies. If you have a specific question for me, please email me. And then as a parent, don't solely rely on ARIES to know how your student is doing in class. There's several things that I collect only once a month, like language, the Greek and Latin roots. There's one test at the end of every month. So, make sure that you're checking along with your students as they're going through. All right, curriculum calendar. Just please keep in mind, this is a very general outline. Things are constantly being reassessed right now, so this is what we're hoping for. As far as 7 honors goes, right now we're in our foundations unit. We're going to move on to the novel The Outsiders. We'll be doing the novella Animal Farm. For our Shakespeare unit, we are going to be doing A Midsummer Night's Dream. For our speeches unit, we're going to be doing a thematic narrative speech. And then the unit at the end of the year is the archetypes unit. We'll be looking specifically at different archetypes within the hero's journey. And a lot of students refer to that one as the Star Wars unit. I'm a real big Star Wars fan. So we use Star Wars A New Hope to help us understand archetypes in the hero's journey. So kids usually like that unit. For 8th grade, we are going to reinforce the foundations unit that they did in 7th grade by following that up with a story unit. We are then going to move on to the novel Holes. A lot of students in 8th grade have already read that at some point, usually in 6th grade or 5th grade. But we use that novel to really go in and make sure that students have a mastery of the analysis. So it's less about the story and more about identifying within, using all those different literary techniques that they hopefully have mastered at that point. We're going to be doing a Martian Chronicles unit. I'm a big sci-fi fan, so we do some fun stuff with that. We have a happiness unit that is a really interesting one. All the 8th grade classes actually do that one, looking at different TED Talks and articles. It's a wellness / academic unit, so it's a really I think that your 8th graders are going to enjoy it a lot. Then everyone reads To Kill a Mockingbird, and we end the year with Shakespeare, which is going to be 12th night this year. And just a note on curriculum itself, please don't have your students read the novel in preparation. I mean, with the exception of maybe 8th grade and Holes when they had read it previously, it's so much more fulfilling and fun for a student to read it for the first time with their classes as they're going through the curriculum. So if possible, please try and encourage your students to read other wonderful books for their pleasure reading. And finally, how has this year been going so far? Well, we are trying to get to know each other. It's hard. It's really hard. It's hard enough when we're in a classroom setting and, I have 36 kids coming and going from my classroom, but at least I see them. I see their name, I see their face, and I can start putting it together. It's really, really hard. And you can see, I chose that meme for a reason. It's really hard this year because sometimes I look at my classroom on the computer screen and all I see are a bunch of ninjas and pet pictures and, cool little drawings and such, which is great. I love students being able to show off their individuality, but I have really been encouraging students, if for some reason your internet is lagging or you can't have your camera on today, you got a bad haircut, I don't know, at least have a picture of yourself or like an emoji that looks like you. It would go very far in helping not just me, but all of their teachers know who is in their class. We are trying to create routines and establish some dynamics. While still being flexible, we're just trying, everyone's trying right now to figure out how best to make this a good experience. Do know that all your students have taken a standards-based assessment called a STAR. It's something that our entire district has done. So we have the results of that. It's kind of twofold. It's to help guide my instruction, but it's also to help determine if your student's placement in honors or in a regular class is the most appropriate placement. So you'll be getting individual emails from not just me, but other teachers perhaps with that. And finally, Aries, there should be some grades in Aries, not just from my class, but other classes. So please feel free to check that out. And if you have any questions about placement, please make sure you email me. I think that the deadline to change from a regular class into an honors or from an honors class into a regular class is the 29th, I believe. But again, you should be getting individual emails if that is any sort of issue. And that is it. Thank you so much again for your time and going through this with me. I'm going to cross my fingers that my mic worked this whole time so I don't have to do it all over again. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you very much.